Deep in the Pacific, a cable repair ship cuts through black water. A single sonar ping echoes beneath the hull. The crew follows 6 rules. The 4th is absolute. Never station above the Mariana Trench on a new moon.
Wait for the lunar cycle. Something rises when the moon is dark.
In 2021, a trans-Pacific cable was retrieved with a clean bite through 45 centimeters of reinforced steel. The bite arc measured a full meter across. No natural event could do that.
We have video. The company never logged it.
Every crewman knows the rules. They know what happens when the rules are broken. 40 yards off the stern, a dark shape rises from the water, a single massive curve, like a tooth.
We do not look too closely. We cut a new section, splice, and leave.
This is the story of the 6 rules, and what has been severing cables for over 100 years. On the cable repair ship, the night shift begins. Stephen, a veteran of 14 years, walks the deck with Chris, the new technician.
Rule 1 is the most critical. Never station above the Mariana Trench during a new moon.
Why? We position there for repairs all the time. What changes when the moon is dark?
Because something down there uses the darkness to rise. We can't be overhead when it does. It's a safety protocol. Lunar cycles affect deep-sea conditions we can't monitor.
That's superstitious. There's no scientific basis for avoiding a new moon.
Stephen doesn't answer. He just keeps staring at the black water.
I could tell him about the 2021 bite, but he isn't ready to believe yet. All 6 rules sound insane until one of them saves your life. Then you'll know.
Chris watches Stephen disappear into the ship. The dark ocean stretches empty. Later, in the sonar room, Stephen finds Chris staring at the glowing screens. The veteran resumes his reluctant briefing.
Rule 2. If sonar picks up an unidentified contact within 200 meters of the keel, we stop all retrieval.
What kind of contact are we talking about? A submarine?
If I tell you it moves like no sub I've ever tracked, you'd lose sleep. Better you think it's protocol. Anything unexplained. Once the contact clears, we proceed. That's the rule.
Stephen leads Chris to a monitoring station where the fiber optic lines pulse with silent data.
Rule 3. Sometimes the cables hum on their own frequency. We never transmit on it.
A hum, like feedback. What happens if someone transmits back?
I heard that hum once. It felt like something was pressing against the cable, listening.
Chris stares at the glowing data stream, suddenly aware that the cable might be doing more than carrying signals.
Rule 4. Never visually inspect a cable severed below 4,000 meters. Rule 6. If the cable feels too heavy for its length, drop it.
Drop it? That's insane. The cable is worth more than this ship. What could make it suddenly too heavy?
He needs context. Maybe he'll understand if I tell him about 2021.
In February 2021, Stephen's ship received a break alert at 5,800 meters depth. The technical lead, Marcus, overrode Rule 4.
The brake pattern is wrong. Too clean. I want eyes on it. Launch the ROV.
The ROV descended through crushing blackness. In the control room, Stephen watched the monitors, heart pounding. Then, the feed showed the severed cable end. The steel armor was sheared through in a perfect crescent. No explosion, no rock slide. Just a single, smooth bite, nearly a meter wide, like nothing any machine could make. The crew stared in silence. Marcus killed the feed a minute later and ordered everyone back to work.
That day, Rule 4 ceased to be a superstition. It became the only thing keeping us alive.
On the monitor, the ROV's laser scanner traced the bite's curve. 98 centimeters across. Clean, smooth, devastating. Then the camera panned. 12 meters away, more crescent scars gouged the muddy sediment. There were dozens. Some almost erased by time, others fresh. A gallery of identical wounds stretching back decades.
Cut the section, splice, and get out. No log entry, no report.
He knows something. He's known for years.
As the crew worked, Stephen quietly copied the ROV files onto a personal drive.
I have to understand what left those marks. It's not just one, it's a pattern. It's a pattern.
On the bridge, Marcus stood at the window, staring into the black ocean without a word.
Everyone on this ship knows the rules. Now, I know why. They're terrified of what's down there.
He slid the drive into his pocket. He would not ignore what he had seen. That night, alone in his cabin, Stephen plugged the drive into his laptop. The ROV footage filled the screen again.
1 meter diameter. No known marine predator has a bite radius like this.
He opened a browser and searched fossil records. Great white, mosasaur, even hypothetical whales, nothing fit. Then he pulled up a megalodon tooth diagram. The curvature matched the severed cable arc perfectly.
That's impossible. Megalodon has been extinct for 3.6 million years.
He replayed the footage. The laser measurement never wavered. 98 centimeters, a juvenile megalodon had a bite radius of over a meter.
This matches exactly. The reinforcing steel was sheared like butter, something with immense jaw pressure.
He sketched the bite arc in his journal, annotating with fossil measurements. The evidence was undeniable.
Something survived down there. It's been biting these cables for decades, maybe longer.
He closed the laptop. Out the porthole, only black ocean. He didn't sleep that night. The next day, Stephen emailed the ROV footage to a marine biologist friend, Dr. Elena Vasquez, at Scripps. He didn't include his theory.
I need someone else to see this. Either she'll explain it rationally, or confirm my worst fear.
Elena's reply arrived within hours. Stephen, this is extraordinary. I'll run it through my database. Give me a few weeks. Weeks passed. Stephen worked his shifts, but the footage haunted every quiet moment. Then, late one night, his phone buzzed.
Stephen, I've run every analysis. It's not a mechanical cut. The collagen fiber pattern is consistent with a biological bite.
What did it, Elena? Could it be a surviving species?
I can't. I shouldn't have looked at this. Please don't contact me about it again.
She's terrified. Elena isn't just confused. She's afraid someone will know she saw it.
Before he could respond, the line went dead. Elena refused to answer any further messages.
Whatever is down there, it scared a respected scientist into complete silence. That's worse than any monster.
Months later, a joint repair operation brought Stephen alongside a Japanese cable vessel and an old contact, Kenji Nakamura.
You have seen the bite marks, the ones they never log. I know because we have the same.
He knows, without a single word from me. He knows about the bites.
Kenji produced a tablet and opened a secure database. Rows of dates, coordinates, and bite measurements.
First entry, 1903. Over 1,200 incidents. The bite geometry is identical every time.
Identical. That would mean it's the same creature, or very few, surviving over a century.
Kenji nodded and scrolled further. The database was meticulous. Each entry a silent testament to something the world refused to acknowledge.
We estimate fewer than 5 individuals. They have been biting our cables since the first Trans-Pacific line was laid.
On the tablet, a map of the Pacific sprouted red dots, clusters near deep trenches, marking every incident since the Meiji era.
Whatever they are, they've been watching us for generations, and we've been feeding them data.
On the Japanese deck, Kenji glanced at the darkening horizon and spoke more carefully. His next words changed everything. Stephen thought he understood.
There is a theory among our senior technicians. The hum, the self-resonance of the cable, it appears most often when the creatures are near.
The hum. Rule 3. He's connecting the hum to the contacts.
We suspect they are drawn to the data pulses. The hum is their way of sensing what passes through the line.
So, when I heard that hum, something was right there, pressing against the cable, listening to the world's conversations.
Stephen remembered the low, unnatural vibration, a hum that seemed to come from the depths themselves.
We also believe that if we ever transmitted on that frequency, they would know we are aware of them. That is why your Rule 3 exists.
It's not just a safety protocol, it's a signal of non-acknowledgement. We're pretending not to notice them.
The cables weren't just infrastructure. They were a 22,000-mile sensory organ for something living in the abyss.
Everything we send, emails, financial transactions, military directives, they might be tapping it all.
Back on his own ship, Stephen locked himself in his cabin with a printout of Kenji's database. He spread the pages across his bunk.
Over 1,200 incidents. If I overlay a lunar calendar, there has to be a pattern.
He cross-referenced dates for hours. Slowly, a chilling correlation took shape on a digital map. He plotted the incidents. Red dots clustered not just near trenches, but around specific lunar phases.
70% of the attacks happen within 3 days of a new moon. That's not a coincidence. Rule 1. Never station above the trench during a new moon. The old crews knew. They passed it down because it kept them alive. The rules aren't superstition. They're scar tissue. Reminders of encounters so bad, survivors turned them into law.
He imagined the first crews, watching a cable snap, feeling the ship shudder as something massive passed below.
Now I understand. We're not just repairing cables. We're maintaining a ceasefire with whatever lives down there.
He closed the journal. From now on, he would enforce every rule without question and keep his own record of the truth. Stephen didn't wait for the next watch. He climbed to the bridge and found Marcus alone, staring at the navigation display.
I know about the bytes, Marcus. All of them. The Japanese database goes back to 1903.
I don't know what you are talking about. Stick to your duties, technician.
I've seen the lunar pattern. 70% of attacks happen on new moons. We're sitting ducks and you know it.
Keep your voice down. There's a sealed report. Not logged, never filed. Wait here.
Marcus unlocked a cabinet in his cabin and handed Stephen a dog-eared folder marked Anomalous Incidents, Confidential.
We've tracked similar bytes for decades. The company suppresses it, says it's easier to repair than explain.
Stephen flipped through pages. Dates and coordinates filled the tables. Byte marks identical to the 2021 footage, spanning back to the 1970s.
This isn't just a corporate secret. Someone high up decided these creatures are better left unknown.
He took photos of every page. Then he opened his own journal and began a new chapter. The real reason the rules exist. The next evening, Stephen found Chris on the darkened deck. He motioned for silence.
I showed you the rules, but not why they exist. I need you to see something.
In the dim glow of a bulkhead light, he opened his journal to the 1903 entry.
This can't be real. Over 100 years? Something has been doing this since before the Titanic.
He's reacting the same way I did. Disbelief. Then terror. The company knows. The Japanese crews have a secret database. We're not supposed to talk about it.
Chris closed the journal and stared at the black ocean. His hands were trembling.
What do? We can't just ignore it.
I've passed the burden. Now he carries it too.
Chris nodded slowly. He would keep the silence, and one day he would pass it on. The distress call came 3 days later, a critical break in the abyssal zone, during a new moon.
We can't wait for the lunar cycle to pass. The backup routing is overloaded. We're going in now.
This violates Rule 1 outright. He knows the lunar pattern, and he's pushing ahead anyway.
The ship repositioned above the trench. The sonar began its slow, rhythmic sweep. Then, the operator's screen lit up. A massive contact, rising steadily from 500 meters depth.
It's already within 200 meters. Rule 2. We have to abort retrieval immediately.
We don't have time for protocol. Start the retrieval, now.
The cable drum groaned. On the tension gauge, the needle climbed past the red line.
It's too heavy for its length. Rule 6. We need to drop it now.
Beneath the ship, in the black water, something immense was rising, and it was bringing the cable with it. On deck, Stephen saw the tension gauge slam into the red. The whole winch assembly groaned, pulling the stern down toward the water.
Emergency release. Cut the line. Now.
The crew hit the emergency disconnect. With a shriek of tortured steel, the cable whipsawed free and vanished into the swell.
Rule 6. That rule just saved every life on this ship.
In the ROV control room, the backup camera feed flickered. A massive dark silhouette, far larger than any whale, glided through a churning cloud of sediment. The shape turned, and for 1 second, a curved profile, like a tooth or a claw, caught the light before the feed dissolved into static. The ship lurched violently. A wave of displaced water slammed the hull, throwing crew against the bulkheads.
What was that? Did we hit something?
I can't tell him. Not right now. We're alive. That's enough.
As the ship steadied, the crew stared at the empty cable drum. No one spoke. They had all felt it. The rules were not superstition. They were survival. In the sonar room, Stephen replayed the recorded trace. Chris stood behind him, still trembling from the encounter.
Look at the scale. The contact was over 20 meters long. That's larger than any known living marine predator.
On a second monitor, he pulled up the megalodon size comparison. The sonar silhouette matched the fossil estimates exactly.
You are saying we just survived an encounter with an extinct shark? That thing is supposed to have been dead for millions of years.
Extinct or not, I saw the shadow. I felt the ship shudder. The rules exist because it's very much alive.
The crew will never break the rules again. Not after tonight.
I have to write this down. If we don't leave a record, the next crew that ignores a rule might not be so lucky.
He wrote in large, deliberate letters. They are real. The megalodon is still alive. We encountered one on a new moon. 22 meters estimated length. He signed it and pressed his thumbprint into the ink. This journal would be his testimony. On deck, the crew gathered in silence. They would never speak of this beyond the ship. Stephen looked at the dark horizon and made a quiet vow. The truth would not die with him. Weeks after the near sinking, Stephen initiated a secure satellite call from the ship's communications room. Kenji Nakamura answered from the Japanese repair vessel.
The encounter you survived, it confirms our worst theory. The creatures are not just breaking cables, they are reading them.
Kenji transmitted a series of graphs, data packet oscillations that spiked precisely when the hum appeared on the line.
The hum is not passive. It's an active interrogation signal. Every time it appears, something is scanning the data traffic.
They're not just listening. They're interrogating the line. What are they looking for?
Since the first telegraph cables, we've recorded identical patterns. They learn. The hum frequency has shifted over the decades to match new data speeds.
He shared a classified Japanese report. The bytes were not random. They occurred at nodes where data was most concentrated.
They're targeting high information segments. They know where the sensitive data flows.
We suspect they can manipulate the data stream, insert errors, delay packets. They have been doing it for a century without detection.
Stephen stared at the glowing cable schematic. The global internet, every government secret, every financial transaction, flowed through lines monitored by something in the deep. 2 months after the satellite call with Kenji, Stephen's personal device buzzed with an encrypted video request from a blocked number.
Stephen, I've been running a parallel analysis on the cable data logs you sent. The byte marks line up with high-value data bursts. They're not random attacks. Each time a government or financial cipher passes, a byte follows within hours.
On the screen, Stephen saw the correlation. Every byte occurred within a 12-hour window of a data surge.
I believe the creatures are not just listening, they are tasting the information, sampling what passes through the cables.
Tasting. Like a shark testing unfamiliar prey. They're probing our communications.
I ran the pattern back 20 years. They've been doing this since fiber optics were first laid. They learn, they adapt. I don't know what they want with the data, but they are definitely building a profile of us.
A profile of humanity. Every secret we transmit. Every transaction. Cataloged by ancient things in the abyss.
The call ended. Stephen sat motionless. The deep wasn't just listening. It was studying. In his cabin, Stephen reopened the 2021 ROV footage. This time he synced the ship's hydrophone logs to the video.
There it is. Right after the cable snaps, the hum starts. It lasts exactly 17 seconds. It's not a random vibration. It's modulated, like a signal.
He isolated the audio. The frequency pattern was not random noise. It was structured, repeating every time a data packet crossed the break.
After each byte, the creatures send a response through the cable. They're trying to communicate. Rule 3. Never transmit on the hum frequency. Now I understand. If we ever answered, they'd know we can hear them. That's why the hum felt like someone pressing against the line, because it was someone listening and waiting for a reply.
He played the audio again. The hum was ancient and deliberate, a voice from the abyss that had been speaking for a century. He opened his journal and wrote, "The hum is a response. The creatures are not just listening. They are trying to connect." He added a single line. Rule 3 exists not to avoid detection, but to avoid contact. In his cabin, Stephen opened the journal to the last blank page. He wrote the date, then the words that had been forming for years. They know we're here. They've been aware of us since we first laid cables across their sea. They listen to everything. The 6 rules are not superstition. They are a ceasefire, our only defense against an intelligence that predates us by millions of years.
This is the legacy I leave. Not a fix, not a warning anyone will believe. Just a record, so the next crew knows.
He closed the journal and wrapped it in oilcloth. Then he melted a red wax seal over the knot. Inside a waterproof case, he tucked a note. For the senior technician. Open and private. The rules mean more than you think.
Chris will know where to find this, and one day he'll understand why it has to stay hidden. I've done what I can. The Abyss will keep its secrets as long as we keep ours.
He stepped onto the deck. The night was moonless, the horizon invisible, a perfect black mirror. The ship sailed on. Below, in the deep, ancient things listened to every pulse of light through the cable, waiting. Stephen stood alone on the stern, watching the searchlight sweep the black water. The ship was quiet, no repairs, no chatter. Then the light caught something. A shadow, massive and slow, moving just beneath the surface. It was curved like a tooth or a giant rib, and it stretched on easily the length of the ship.
There you are. I knew you were still watching.
The creature didn't breach or charge. It simply cruised alongside the ship, silent and immense, before sinking into the abyss.
They're not attacking, just passing. Like they've done for a century.
The spotlight scanned again. The ocean was empty. Only the low hum of the engines remained.
The rules keep us safe because we respect them. Not because we're stronger.
Far below, the cable pulsed with light, every whisper of humanity racing through the deep, and something listened. Stephen turned back to his post. The watch would continue, the rules unchanged. The abyss had spoken. It would speak again. Before sunrise, Stephen placed the waterproof case inside the ship's safe. Behind old logbooks, he found Chris on the bridge, reviewing the sonar logs from the night before.
You know the rules now. All of them. Trust them. They were written in blood.
I understand. I'll never question them again.
One day, you'll train a new technician. You'll tell them the 6 rules. And one day, you'll show them what I showed you.
Chris nodded, his eyes fixed on the dark horizon. He understood now the weight of what he carried. The ship cut through the empty Pacific, heading for the next break. The sun broke the horizon in a thin gold line.
We are caretakers of a fragile peace. The Abyss knows our names. The least we can do is remember the rules.
The journal would wait. The creatures would wait. And the cable would hum again. The watch continued. Night after night, the ship sails the black Pacific. Above, a cold canopy of stars. Below, a pressure that would crush steel. The 6 rules are not superstition. They are a membrane. The only thing that separates the modern world from what stirs in the trench. The hum will return. It always does. A vibration that means something ancient has found the cable again. Every second, terabytes of human life flash through the fibers, and in the silent dark, something reads it all. The sonar pings. A single, sharp note that echoes down through layers of black water. On the screen, a phantom trace flickers. Massive, slow, and utterly indifferent. They have known we are here since the first telegraph line was laid. They will know when the last one goes dark. The ship pushes on toward the next breakpoint, a lone light in a world without horizon. And from the deep, a groan, sub-bass, almost felt more than heard, rumbles through the hull, then silence, and the screen goes black.